to the new video obtained exclusively by CNN that appears to show music mogul Diddy assaulting his then-girlfriend, singer Cassie, in a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. The incident appears to support allegations outlined in a lawsuit against Diddy last year. ABC's Melissa Adan is here now with the details and a warning for those at home, Melissa, because these images are extremely disturbing to see.
Yes, Janae. So rapper Sean Diddy Combs is facing lawsuits with accusations of sexual assault and sex trafficking, all which he has denied. But now this exclusively obtained video by CNN showing a domestic violence altercation. And yes, we want to warn you, this video does show domestic violence and it is difficult to watch. This morning, a look at the disturbing hotel surveillance video exclusively obtained by CNN of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs amid several assault allegations. The video from March 2016 reportedly shows Combs attacking his then-girlfriend, singer Cassie Ventura, throwing her to the ground near an elevator in a Los Angeles hotel, then seen kicking her twice and trying to drag her away. Ventura's attorney responding to the video stating the gut-wrenching video has only further confirmed the disturbing and predatory behavior of Mr. Combs. Words cannot express the courage and fortitude that Miss Ventura has shown in coming forward to bring this to light. The incident appears to support Ventura's claims, long denied by Combs, from a now settled lawsuit filed last November, stating around March 2016, at the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, Los Angeles, Mr. Combs became extremely intoxicated and punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye. The lawsuit was settled outside of court for an undisclosed amount with no admission of wrongdoing. Ventura's husband posting a letter on Instagram he says he wrote a while back condemning domestic violence, writing in the caption, "I want my kids and every kid to live in a world that's safe for women and girls, protects them, and treats them as equals." This comes months after federal authorities raided Combs' LA and Miami homes, seizing his electronics. Sources tell ABC News the rapper is at the center of an ongoing federal investigation into human trafficking. Combs' attorney calling the raids a witch hunt, adding Mr. Combs is innocent and will continue to fight every single day to clear his name. Now, ABC News did reach out to Combs for a comment and have not heard back. Meantime, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7 for anyone who needs help. The hotline currently experiencing long wait times and call volume, but anyone who needs help is encouraged to call that number 1-800-799-SAFE. Gio?
Incredible.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I was up. I hit rock bottom. Disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help.
You continue to be disgusting, and the American people continue to be disgusted toward you. That is Sean Diddy Combs, who has now issued a public apology following the release of horrific footage showing him beating his ex-girlfriend in a hotel hallway. He claims that he hit rock bottom and he decided to seek professional help. I've heard the same story over and over again. Usually the person who has been caught doing terrible things will say that they found Jesus or something. But, Diddy found professional help, allegedly. Now, a rock bottom, he allegedly paid $50,000 in a settlement to conceal, but CNN managed to uncover the video. Want to give you a warning before we watch it. It is difficult to watch, and it does show physical violence.
New surveillance footage obtained exclusively by CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016. A lawsuit filed by Ventura in November last year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to match those seen in this video.
Now, the Ventura referenced in that clip is R&B singer Cassie Ventura, who, as we previously reported, had filed a lawsuit late last year against Combs for alleged rape and sexual trafficking over the course of 10 years, a full decade. Now, in a statement from November, Ventura said this: with the expiration of New York's Adult Survivors Act fast approaching, it became clear that this was an opportunity to speak up about the trauma I have experienced and that I will be recovering from for the rest of my life. Now, in the lawsuit, she also described some of the emotional and physical abuse that she suffered at the hands of Combs, which matched the footage that was obtained by CNN.
According to the complaint, Combs became extremely intoxicated and punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye, which, according to the lawsuit, prompted Ventura to try and leave the hotel room. The surveillance video obtained by CNN begins as she enters the hallway. The complaint says as she exited, Mr. Combs awoke and began screaming at Miss Ventura. He followed her into the hallway of the hotel while yelling at her. The complaint goes on to say he grabbed her and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her. In the surveillance video, Combs can be seen grabbing Ventura and throwing her to the ground. As Ventura lies on the ground, Combs then kicks her twice and attempts to drag her on the floor back to the hotel room. Ventura is seen picking up a hotel phone. Combs seems to walk back to the hotel room, then returns and appears to shove her in a corner. Moments later, he can be seen throwing an object in her direction.
Oh, this is in Los Angeles, in the hotel hallway. Like, think about how brazen this attack was. And by the way, at the time of the suit, Ben Brafman, who is the attorney representing Combs, said in a statement that Mr. Combs vehemently denies these offensive and outrageous allegations and accused Cassie of demanding $30 million from his client under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship. Okay, so the case was settled for 50 grand. Since this took place in Los Angeles, unfortunately, it's past the statute of limitations because it took place in 2016. And so the disgraceful district attorney of Los Angeles, George Gascon, who I have absolutely no love for, says, if the conduct depicted occurred in 2016, unfortunately, we would be unable to charge as the conduct would have occurred beyond the timeline where a crime of assault can be prosecuted. To be sure, he wouldn't prosecute if it was within the statute of limitations. That's the kind of district attorney he is. He's a total disgrace and should be voted out of office. As of today, law enforcement has not presented a case related to the attack depicted in the video against Mr. Combs. Cenk.
Yeah. Wow. 50,000. Should have gotten a lot more. Okay, but of course, the main comment here is, look, the apologies have gotten better, and I watched the whole thing, and there was a part where he said, look, I'm not asking for forgiveness, I'm just telling you what I did was terrible, etc. That's a good touch. I've always thought that people should say that, and if you were genuine, you might say that, but here's the clue that he's not genuine. When his lawyer said just a little while earlier, before the tape came out, about how Cassie Ventura was lying about everything and how she's the worst. If you were really, apologetic before you got caught, with your hand in the cookie jar there, right? Or in the abuse jar, or in that vase you were throwing, well, then maybe you wouldn't have smeared Cassie Ventura like a second ago.
Sorry, Cenk, I gotta correct myself. He didn't pay $50,000 to Ventura for a settlement. That amount is actually undisclosed. He paid the hotel $50,000 to conceal the surveillance. So I apologize for mixing the two up. Yeah, sorry for mixing those two up.
No, my bad too. Because I'm like, that is not a $50,000 settlement.
Yeah.
That is like, okay, now why? The underlying thing is the most important of all. Guys, look at that video. Who does that? Like, there is no low I could hit where I would drag a woman around by her hair and kick her while she's down. So look, I don't know who P. Diddy Combs is, and we all think we know these celebrities. We don't know these celebrities at all. Like, we all thought we knew Bill Cosby. Oh, he loves to eat pudding. No, he's such a sweet guy. And it turned out he was kind of a monster, right? And so we can give thousands of examples. But so here's another guy, and part of what happens is when they have power, everybody kisses their ass, and they're never held accountable for anything. And this is true of the politicians too. And so they think they can get away with anything, and like their very worst side comes out. I hope that's his worst side, but maybe it's not, because the feds are charging him, or thinking of charging him, with sex trafficking and rape, and in many instances, not just this. So
Yeah. They're investigating him. The federal authorities are investigating him for potential crimes like sex trafficking and things like that. So we don't know too many details from the federal investigation. We do know that his properties were raided and he's in a lot of trouble. So while I'm grossed out by the fact that there will be no justice on a local level because of the statute of limitations, there could be some serious consequences on a federal level due to this federal sex trafficking investigation. But it's just, you say you don't know who these people are. And you're right. When you only see them in glossy magazines and when they're being celebrated all the time, you think you know them. You don't know them. You don't know what kind of people they are behind closed doors. In terms of Sean Diddy Combs, based on the video that we watched where he's brazenly beating a woman up in a public area, in the hallways of this hotel in Los Angeles, I feel comfortable saying that I know exactly what kind of person he is, and I feel that he is a scumbag. And so I'm not interested in his apology. I don't care how good the apology was. And if he's not apologizing with the hopes of people accepting his apology, maybe he can F off and not address the public about any of this, because I think the video speaks for itself.
I think he's in a world.
Okay, now I see why this mini Wi-Fi camera has been trending online lately. This thing is awesome.
Sean Diddy Combs, as I suggested, I told you when this started, it is only going to go in one direction, which is down. He is in the crosshairs of controversy, and it is growing. A new lawsuit just filed against Combs by another woman. Former model Crystal McKinney claims the hip-hop mogul drugged and sexually assaulted her after promising he could advance her career. This happened in 2003. McKinney claims her refusal to go along then with Combs' demands hurt her career. Specifically, she claims that she was blackballed from modeling. She became severely depressed and attempted suicide thereafter in 2004. She says she had a moral obligation to speak up now, some 20 years later, after seeing Cassie Ventura come forward and receive a big settlement. She is also seeking unspecified damages. Let's bring in defense attorney Mark Garagos and former New York City prosecutor Paul Callan. Gentlemen, good to have you both. First, Paul Callan, well, you're New York. Garagos, let me ask you, how do you bring a claim 20 years later? Is there a look-back statute in California or wherever this is being brought?
Yes, California. But I think this was, if I'm not mistaken, Paul could correct me, I think this was a New York federal case that was where they filed it in the Southern District of New York.
It's brought under New York law, and because of diversity of citizenship, it gets into federal court. But it's all New York law that's involved. And we have a look-back statute now that lets you go back 20 years if you want to bring one of these cases.
I thought it sunset, that statute.
That particular, well, we have to see when this was filed. Now, that statute was, well, there are two statutes involved. There was a second statute where the look-back period was reopened for people to file suits. And I believe that this case was brought under.
A new victim came forward, accusing Diddy of giving her lace weed and forcing her to give him fellatio. You heard anything about this? What you think about it?
What I think about the new lawsuit against him is that it's going to be a lot of people coming forward against him. Women, men, because there's men that said that he tried to make them give him a fellatio. That woman said he tried to make her get her fellatio. I think she was a Sean John model. You know what I'm saying? So my thing of it is this, brother. When he has proven that he's a liar, he has proven that he's willing to hide the truth and he can't be trusted, and his word ain't shh. His word is nothing no more. Anything that somebody says against him is going to be considered the truth, bro. Anybody could come out and say that he did this and he did that. Whether wrong, right, or indifferent. Anybody could say that now. Because he lied to the public for so long with this Cassie stuff.
When she say that Diddy gave her lace weed, do you believe that? You being around Diddy at one point, is that, something that he would do?
When I knew Puff, he didn't smoke weed. And then I'm looking at the dates and the times. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was 2003. And I was still with Bad Boy in 2003. And I ain't heard nothing about that.
Yeah, I mean, she also claims that Diddy blackballed her.
Well, they do that all the time, bro. Did you hear his own vice president or A&R or whatever tell the whole making of a band, if y'all leave, if y'all don't do what he tell y'all do, y'all never work in the music industry again? And I think that one or two of them maybe became battle rappers. But they never made a song again. They got power like that, bro.
Yeah, I remember that episode too. And you right, man. I mean, after that show, they didn't do anything, man. So, yeah, as I think about it, yeah, you right about that, man. So Diddy, he be blackballing people.
Yeah. He told Craig Mack, if you don't get rid of your manager, this is Craig Mack with his own independent manager. He said, if you don't get rid of your manager, you ain't gonna, I ain't gonna never fuck with you again. And you will never work in the music industry. But what Suge Knight was gonna do, Craig Mack was gonna be the #1 artist on Death Row East. He was gonna be their first artist. So he was gonna take that and flip them.
Wow. So he be blackballing people, because I always heard that rumor, but I never knew if it was true or not, so.
They do it to everybody, bro. If you don't go their way, if you don't do what they tell you to do, and how they want it done, they're gonna blackball you.
This free muscle stimulator gave me the dream body that I always wanted in only 4 weeks. These little egg-shaped things.
Man, listen to me, bro. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were saying the feds are so deep and involved in this that Diddy just might be called up on that Tupac shit once they go through the money trail. Once they go through the money trail and find out why certain people was given certain positions, that it may be a problem. Because they're gonna look at all that. Anything they can bring up, they're gonna bring it up.
Wow. So you think it's possible that they might pit Pop Murder on Diddy?
Yeah. That's why that tape of Cassie was released. So anybody who was willing to try to help him, anybody who was trying to say that he ain't capable of doing this and he ain't capable of doing that, they got it right there on videotape.
But you being around at that time, right? Because you was working at Bad Boy at that time when, the whole Pocket Big thing was going on. You personally, do you think they can get Diddy on Pop Murder?
Well, they always said something about $1 million check, and nobody knew where the $1 million came from. Puff may have said it in a couple of rap songs and things like that. But they would have to trace the check back to if that check Eric Von Zip had. And I'm not going to say the person who they said they gave it to, because I've said it before, and I told people who contacted me that I would bring old boy name up on that because of situations that he's having in the federal government right now. So if they trace it back to Eric Von Zip and say, why were you on, and he's dead now, but they have to explain why did he was able to get some publishing money or some kind of deal off the sale of Black Ground Records, and they put him as Tank manager or Tank something for Tank, this, that, and the third. Why did they do that?
Yeah, I got you. And when you say check, right, just to get some clarity for the people that don't know what you're talking about, you talking about the $1 million check, right, that they put on Tupac to get him killed, the hit?
Yeah. Well, what I'm talking about is that if Puff has said on a couple of records that he'll pay $1 million to, you know, but he was just talking to people randomly. So now everybody said that, and Keefe D said that Puff told them that he'll give them $1 million. Now, do we believe that? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't. Because there's situations whereas that it could have got done by certain people that was around them, but it didn't happen. So when Zip came up with the check for $1 million, he said it was from Black Ground Records. And he said that who he got that money from. So now, if that's true, then the feds would have to go in and do a money trace on where did that check come from. And then they're going to say, why? Why was that check given to Eric Von Zip or Eric Zip Martin or Eric Martin? Why did that check was given to him? And saying that he had something to do with Tank. And he sold the company, which wasn't all his company anyway, for $1 million.
Meanwhile, we're also getting more details on the Tupac Shakur murder investigation. ABC News is learning more about the target of this week's police search and what they took from his home. Kana Whitworth has the latest on the investigation, unsolved for nearly 3 decades.
Shocking new details in the latest investigation of the 1996 unsolved murder of legendary rapper Tupac Shakur. ABC News learning the search warrant executed Monday in Las Vegas was at the home of Dwayne Davis, known as Keefe D, just miles away from where Tupac was gunned down during a drive-by shooting. ABC News obtaining this exclusive video of armored vehicles driving down the suburban street just after 10 p.m.
Stop moving around. Put your hand up.
Video obtained by TMZ showing a tense standoff outside the home in Henderson, Nevada.
Put your claw down. Put your hand on top of your head. Hands on top of your head right now.
According to the warrant, police seized multiple items, including computers, storage devices, notes, photos, and other documentation detailing Keefe D's involvement with the Southside Compton Crips, a well-known LA gang. Police also took copies of the book Compton Street Legend, the memoir he wrote, which details what he believes led to Tupac's murder. He claimed in a 2018 documentary series, Death Row Chronicles, that he was in the car with the shooter.
You said the shots came from the back. Who shot Tupac?
They came from the cold of the streets. It just came from the back seat.
The evidence is now being presented to a Las Vegas grand jury.
So this is the biggest development in the Tupac murder case since this all happened, since the murder happened. They never served a search warrant and showed up at someone's house with the SWAT team. back in 1996. So this is definitely, it can't be overstated how big of a deal this is.
Shakur's murder had all the markings of a gang-style hit.
Tupac was shot multiple times while sitting at a red light near the Las Vegas Strip. The rapper dying several days later. Experts say this latest investigation could shed new light on one of the biggest cold cases in modern pop culture history.
I don't think you raid someone's house in something this high profile, knowing full well, the media attention that's going to get, unless you feel pretty strongly.
And Diane, no charges have been filed. This warrant was served without incident. One neighbor told me they saw a woman sitting on a curb during the search. Authorities took multiple laptops and iPads, and Diane, what they described as a tub of photographs.
All right, Kana Whitworth, thank you. And I want to bring in ABC News legal contributor, managing partner at the Cochran firm, Shauna Lloyd, for more on this. Hi, Shauna. So how significant is it to see a search like this in a case this old?
Diane, it's quite significant. What we find is that when a search warrant is executed, it's because law enforcement has significant information that they believe can lead to either an indictment or an arrest in a cold case.
Now, investigators have long believed that the gunman in this case, whoever shot Tupac, is likely already dead. So why go through all of this?
Well, it's still an unsolved crime, and law enforcement is charged with the duty of making sure that they get and arrest everyone that's connected with a crime. So if there is an accomplice that helped commit this murder, they still are looking for that person.
Now, the evidence in this case is now being presented to a Las Vegas grand jury, but detectives have said that they doubt anything retrieved in this search will directly link the target of the investigation to the drive-by shooting that killed Tupac. So what are they hoping to show?
What they're hoping to show is circumstantial evidence. When we have a cold case that's this old, there's highly unlikely that you're going to find direct evidence. So what you're looking at is circumstantial evidence that can link an accomplice or others that were involved in the murders to the murder. And so that's what they're going to present to the grand jury and seek to move forward from there.
Donna, no one's been charged in connection to Tupac's murder. Based on what we know so far about this investigation, do you see that changing anytime soon?
Not really, Diane, because what we know so far and the information that we have so far is likely that the shooter is dead. However, there still may be others that are involved with the crime that may have charges come out of this.
So what happens next in this case, Shauna? What are you watching for?
What I'm watching for is any developments from the grand jury. We're looking for any indictments that may come forward or other search warrants that are granted based on the information that they got out of this particular raid.
All right, Shauna Lloyd, always great to have you, Shauna. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for...
Do you want to see how much money you're eligible for? If you were in a car crash within the last 2 years, that was not your fault.
Page 9, Wayne Davis, C377407. He's present in custody with Mr. Hanna as well as Mr. Arroyo at this point. We do have Mr. Bilal as well as Mr. Dujardin appearing for the state. Here on, for defendant's motion for release on his own recognizance or in the alternative to set reasonable bail. We also are on for our first status check trial readiness. First of all, let's address the status check trial readiness real quick. Hesitate to ask, but how are we going on discovery?
We got a substantial amount of video, statements, reports. We've been going through that. We haven't met yet. I would like to meet, do a file review, and make sure we do have everything. But just to be honest with the court, June is ambitious. I'm not ready to say that we won't be ready for June. But just from the amount of stuff and what's left, I just want to let the court know that it's going to take a lot to be ready by June.
Understood. Mr. Dujardin, where are we at with discovery? I don't know if I have any cases that are quite this discovery, have this much discovery over this many years, over this many detectives, et cetera.
The original discovery, what we had at the time of indictment, has been supplied to the SPD, and I believe it was complete. Since that time, we've actually gotten quite a bit. In fact, a number of the exhibits attached to our opposition came in shortly after our receipt. So there is additional discovery to provide them, and I also anticipate that there will be even more discovery required between now and June.
Okay. So I think it's safe to say we're working on it.
Correct.
All right. right, we'll do another status check, maybe 45 days. Does that work for the parties? We're ready to all readiness? Okay, that date will be?
That's February 20th at 9 a.m.
All right, now that that's been dealt with, let's move on to the defendant's motion for release as a recognized alternative to 7 reasonable day. Mr. Arroyo, it is your motion. I did read your written motion as well as your reply. Anything you wanted to add or anything you want to highlight at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm not going to rehash everything in, but there's some things I did want to highlight for the court.
Of course.
I know this court's got 2 separate decisions to make, whether or not Dwayne should be denied bail outright. If he is granted bail, is that a monetary bail or is there something least restrictive, such as electronic monitoring, house arrest? Today we are asking Your Honor to release Dwayne on house arrest on electronic monitoring. As we said in our motion, he's not a danger to the community, he's not a flight risk. And I think the overwhelming thing, the question that's looming out there is, if Dwayne is so dangerous, if this case is so overwhelming, his guilt is so overwhelming, what's been happening for 15 years? Why did we wait 15 years to make the arrest? The state has attached his 2009 statement to Metro. They attached the proffer to this court. They've been taking the position that he has no immunity, that they can use the statements against him. If that is their position, then why wasn't he arrested in 2009? At the earliest, I mean, we know that he spoke to Metro. And
I think the state has said that the proffer is admissible. I don't think that we've got crossed that bridge. But any additional statements, I believe, have been presented to this court, and I believe could be properly considered. Is that accurate?
While I was going to address the groups of Zunus Braden, we'll address both the 2008 and the 2009 statements, as well as the reasons for why he wasn't arrested after making that statement in 2009.
Okay, sounds good. I'll let you guys do that at some point. I'll go back to you, Mr. Roy. I apologize for talking.
But, I mean, they did tell the grand jury that he did give a proffer in 2008. They told the grand jury about that. They did say that 2009 that Nevada hasn't promised him anything. So that position, at least since 2009, this information has been known to Nevada. I think what the problem is, there's really no cooperation. There's no gun. The white Cadillac was never found. There's nothing to corroborate anything that was said in Dwayne's statements. I also believe, like I said in the motion, there's problems. They rely heavily on what was said in the book. The author was never called to the grand jury, so we don't really know what parts are Dwayne's statements, what parts are the author's statements, what's been dramatized for purposes of the book. So really, we're missing this lack of corroboration of the statements. The state does try to address this corroboration issue with Devonta Lee at the grand jury, as we said in our motion. He is not a credible witness. He was interviewed several times by the authorities. The grand jury wasn't told this, but he did previously say that